Hi, good morning. So this video is for Wednesday, September 29th. Okay, we're going to continue with our work. Please turn to page 91. Okay, so 91 gives you different scenarios and they ask you to answer the question based upon what they're suggesting the best answer. Okay, so for instance, this is exercise 1.4. It says collaboration 1.4 examined important characteristics of observational studies and experiments. The questions in exercise 1.4 will assess your understanding of these concepts. Number one, imagine that you want to learn about the average number of hours per day that students at your college spend online. You want to select a simple random sample of 75 students from the full-time students at your college. You have a list of all full-time students whose names are arranged in alphabetical order. Suppose that there are 5,000 students at your college, of which 3,500 are full-time. Okay, now, the question says, which method below obtains a random sample of 75 students from this population? So obviously you're going to work with 75, right? But the key is how many totally are you going to start with? In other words, look what they're asking. Look at the end of the second line. I'm going to give you a hint so at least you have an idea as to how to think for what would be the right answer. Look at the end of the second line. You want to select a simple random sample of 75 students from the full-time students at your college. Full-time students. Now they're saying there's 5,000 students at your college, of which 3,500 are full-time. So remember, 5,000 is not going to be relevant here, right? Why wouldn't it be relevant? Because we're not just talking about all the students, we're talking about those students which are full-time, and that would be 3,500. So as you answer this question in number one, you're going to look at a total of 3,500. Okay, that's a hint that will help you get the right answer. Okay, let's look at number two. Number two says, on page 91, imagine that you want to estimate the average amount of time per week that students at a particular college spend studying. Which method below is an example of a convenience sample? Okay, so you look at choices 1, 2, 3, 4. But again, a convenience sample is a sample where you can survey people that are easily available. Okay, so you determine out of those four which would be the best one. Okay, best choice. Let's turn the page. 92. 92. Number three. Imagine you want to determine the locations on campus where students most prefer to go to study. Which method below is an example of voluntary response sample? Okay, so remember in choosing that, voluntary response means they're volunteering, right? The participants choose whether or not they will respond, okay? So with that in mind, see whether 1, 2, 3, or 4 answers that question. Okay, now, number 4. A researcher at King's College in London found that information overload has a temporary negative effect on intelligence quotient, IQ. Imagine that a group of researchers wish to further test this conclusion. These researchers divided volunteers into two groups. Each group took an IQ test. One group had to check email and respond to instant messages while they were taking the test. The other group took the IQ test without any distractions. Okay? Researchers found the distracted group's average IQ test score was 10 points lower than the average IQ test score for the group that was not distracted. What's the explanatory variable in this experiment? Okay? Remember we went through explanatory and response variables? This is the explanatory variable they're asking you. Okay? Now, number 5 asks you the response variable. So write that down to circle the right answer for that. Let's look at number 6. Bottom of 92, page 92. Why would it be good for the researchers to use random assignment to put each volunteer in one of the experimental groups? Okay? So you have to remember the benefit of random assignment, and one of these 4 choices summarize it very nicely, a little better than the others. Okay? Try to see what it is, and of course we'll go through it when we meet again. Okay? Turn the page, page 93. Number 7, which statement below accurately describes the control group? Okay, do that one. Number 8, Is it possible for the subjects of this study to be blinded? Okay, number 9. Researchers recently designed an experiment to investigate whether dogs can be trained to recognize cancer by smell. In this experiment, dogs were trained to distinguish between people with or without cancer by sniffing exhaled breath. Dogs were trained to lie down if they detected cancer. After training, the dog's ability to detect cancer was tested using breath samples from an unfamiliar group of people. According to the article that presented the study's results, the researchers blinded both the dog handlers and the experimental observers to the identity of the breath samples. Okay, so answer number 9. Which statement below explains the meaning of the last sentence of the study? And then we turn to page 94. And on page 94, it says, why is blinding important for this experiment? I think it kind of makes sense, but you can see which statement makes the most sense. And number 11, which feature of the experiment is an example of direct control? Okay, so you have your 4 choices there. So reason it out. As I read this to you, it's very nice. I just read it so you get the overall story behind what they're asking you, but it's good. Read it again. As you read it, try to comprehend what they're telling you, what's actually going on in the experiment, as though you were there. And if you could picture it as though you were there, you'll be able to better answer the questions, having them make more sense to you. Okay? I think we're good. When we meet again, we'll continue. We'll meet again on Thursday. If you have questions, we'll go over them together. We'll reason out why some answers, of course, are better than others. And I wish you a good morning. Okay, take care. See you Thursday. Bye-bye.